Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Sheng Tianbanzi, rising from a humble family to a great general in the country. Upon waking up, he travels to an official novel he has read in his past life and is currently experiencing a proposal plot. Flowers in hand, school flowers in front of me, this kneeling can bring a bright future, but for Qi Tongwei, it is also a great shame. At this moment, the people's military system awakened. Having traveled through time, who still wants to fall in love? I, Qi Tongwei, swear to death not to kneel. Flowers return to the barrel, Qi Tongwei resolutely joins the army and signs up to join the army. Qi Tongwei, remember, you are the 4,976th soldier of our heroic company. Yes. In the first year of military service. Zhu Rai and the training ground, Private Qi Tongwei captured the Blue Army commander alive alone. In the third year of military service. Qi Tongwei was promoted to major and led his soldiers to go to northern Myanmar to crack down on drugs and capture the drug lord alive. In the fifth year of military service. Qi Tongwei was promoted to colonel, commanding the Jiaolong assault team and rescuing overseas Chinese. In the 10th year of military service. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Whoever loves to ask, he doesn't ask anyway. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Whoever loves begs anyway, he doesn't beg in front of the teaching building of Handong University. A man sitting on a roadside chair opened his eyes. Where is this? He, who had just opened his eyes, looked at the unfamiliar scene in front of him, a bit confused. The dilapidated buildings that only exist in old photos, and the vintage clothes worn by the crowds, all make him feel like a dream. Why does this look so much like the 1990s? No, I must be dreaming. The man closed his eyes again, trying to wake up. It took 2 or 3 minutes for the man's eyes to reopen. Looking at the still unchanged scenery in front of him, the man Mumu reached out and pinched his thigh. Hiss. The pain in his thighs reminded him that the scenery in front of him was real, not the dream he had imagined. The man seemed to accept his fate and lowered his right hand, which had just pinched his thigh. The hanging right hand, during the descent, touched something placed on the bench. Feeling the touch on his hand, he lowered his head and looked to the side. How come there's still a bouquet of flowers? Just as he saw this bouquet of flowers, a long and unfamiliar memory flooded into his mind. At the moment when a large amount of memory struck, his movements paused. Immediately, he sat on the lounge chair and watched the familiar, inspirational, and adult helpless life of over 20 years. With the rapid browsing of memories, a surprised expression gradually appeared on his face. This is. It took him more than 10 minutes to quickly browse through this memory. After browsing through all his memories, he was surprised to see a row of exclamation marks materialized on top of his head. He felt inexplicably familiar with this scene before, but couldn't recall where he had seen it. I didn't expect that when I was typing code in front of the computer before, my eyes suddenly turned black. Surprisingly, he was reborn into a popular official novel he had read in his previous life, and was also the main character with a tragic ending in the novel. Qi Tongwei, the half-son of Shengtian. Although there was no later part in my memory just now. But as a phenomenal and popular official novel, he naturally understands the plot of the later novels. In the novel, Qi Tongwei, who is sitting outside the teaching building with flowers, is about to propose to the school flower Liang Xiaolu, hoping to change his fate. But since proposing, he has been making mistakes repeatedly, and in the end, he can only lead to a tragic ending, with a different head. Now Qi Tongwei, as someone familiar with the plot of novels. It is absolutely impossible for oneself, like a novel, to have such a tragic ending. He understands very well that if he wants to avoid this ending in the future, today's proposal must not be made. At this moment, Qi Tongwei has made up his mind to hurry out of the school gate and walk as far as possible. Liang Xiaolu, this woman, whoever loves to beg, he doesn't ask anyway. As for not following the original plot of the novel and his future, he didn't worry too much about it. Now is the 1990s with numerous opportunities. Living in the 21st century, I have a natural advantage that people today do not have. There is an opportunity to make some money, invest in real estate and mobile phones, invest in stocks, and go global. Anyway, doing anything is better than making mistakes again and again, and ultimately being forced to drink a bullet and commit suicide. After making up his mind, he said firmly in his heart, "Don't worry, I will definitely achieve my initial ideals and aspirations. Let me take this first step to change my destiny now." It was almost time for class to end, and Qi Tongwei was about to pick up a bouquet when he found a nearby trash can and threw it away. Before Liang Lu finished class, he quickly walked out of the gate of the campus of Handong University. But as he stood up, he heard a sudden but very clear mechanical female voice. "Trigger system activation task. Take the first step to change destiny. Task content. Give up confessing and change the fate of suicide by drinking a bullet. Reward completed. Activate the People's Soldier system in my mind. It feels like a 360-degree surround sound, although it's only a few short sentences." But Qi Tongwei, who had stood up, sat back down again. Even though he had just experienced an incredible event, he still couldn't contain his excitement. The corners of the mouth also slightly curled up due to a good mood. "I didn't expect there to be a system. Those novels I've read in my past life are really sincere and don't deceive me." Do Qi Tongwei still remember what the mechanical female voice just said? It seems to be the People's Soldier system. Can you say that? Is the purpose of this system to make him join the military? Qi Tongwei, who had already considered what kind of business to make money from, has now rejected options such as going into the sea for business. Joking, it's a big fool not to take advantage of the advantages. We already have the golden finger of the system, who needs to put in so much effort to take it slow. Join the army, then attend military academy, become an officer, and be promoted to general. Isn't this fragrant? Qi Tongwei, who couldn't wait to see the full picture of the system, immediately took action. The bouquet in his hand had slightly deformed due to the strong grip. Not far away, there were also students who had already gathered, watching Qi Tongwei's direction and whispering and discussing something. They have recognized that this is the former president of the student union, who is several years older than them. I heard he came to school today to confess his love to teacher Liang, who is 10 years older than him. This kind of gossip is really attractive to college students who haven't had the internet for 90 years. Other students who passed by the teaching building and saw the people gathered here were curious and came forward to inquire. Most people, upon hearing the explanation, directly participated in the melon-eating crowd. This resulted in after these 10 or 20 minutes, the front of the teaching building was already filled with students preparing to watch. At this moment, the discussion among the crowd suddenly became intense. Look! The senior has stood up. Is he going to the teaching building to find teacher Liang? Everyone followed the direction of the students making the sound and looked in the direction of their fingers. The noise of the crowd did not attract Qi Tongwei's attention, and being watched by others would not shed his skin. He now only wants to complete the system activation task. After getting up, Qi Tongwei walked straight towards the entrance of the distant teaching building. He has made up his mind to completely cut ties with the source of that psychological shadow today. Coincidentally, the bell for the end of class in the teaching building rang on time. Not long after, a woman walked out of the gate of the teaching building, dressed in a proper suit and dressed very much like a teacher from that era. Qi Tongwei immediately recognized that this woman was Liang Xiaolu, who had brought a lot of psychological shadows to him in the latter half of his life. What about the agreed confession in Chapter 2? New book counting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What about the agreed confession in Chapter 2? Liang Xiaolu, who was walking towards the outside of the teaching building, clearly noticed Qi Tongwei as well. She, who was originally expressionless and somewhat serious, had a faint smile on her face. The onlookers thought that Liang Xiaolu was showing a happy and sweet smile. However, no one noticed that what was hidden in her smile was not an expectation for confession, but a sense of pride that she was about to achieve victory. See, Qi Tongwei, you can only kneel down in front of me and confess to me as I said. On the way from the entrance to Qi Tongwei, Liang Xiaolu walked with her head held high and her chest held high, becoming more and more confident. She tried her best to control the expression on her face so that her inner pride wouldn't be noticed by others. Both parties involved in the gossip have already arrived, and the onlookers have lowered their voices in the discussion. Everyone stretched their necks full of anticipation and looked towards Qi Tongwei and his companions. Liang Xiaolu stood in front of Qi Tongwei, pretending to be hesitant and unaware, waiting for Qi Tongwei to speak. She had fantasized countless times in her heart about the scene of Qi Tongwei kneeling in front of her and confessing to him, and today it is finally coming true. As Liang Xiaolu looked at him with hopeful eyes, everyone's attention on the scene focused on Qi Tongwei. Hey, do you think Senior Qi really likes Teacher Liang? A girl standing in the front row used her elbow to turn her roommate standing next to her and asked in a low voice. Maybe so, why bother confessing? The onlookers standing in the back row of the two also interjected. How could it be? Teacher Liang has grown up so much more than Qi Shui. So why confess? Who knows? Alright, stop making noise, we're going to start. The person next to them, upon hearing the chatter of discussions here, glanced at them and spoke to them to be quiet. At this moment, although there were many people standing on the open space in front of the teaching building, it was very quiet. Qi Tongwei spoke out in the midst of this highly anticipated situation. Unlike the expected romantic confession, the first sentence he uttered left the whole audience stunned. Liang Xiaolu, are you still waiting proudly for me to kneel and confess? I tell you, I can never kneel under the authority of your family in my lifetime. I, Qi Tongwei, will rely on myself to achieve my ideals and aspirations. You have remembered it for me. Liang Xiaolu's originally smiling expression was replaced by a surprised expression on her face. The onlookers around also widened their incredulous eyes. What about the agreed confession? How is it different from what I imagined? Liang Xiaolu also asked incredulously. What do you mean, aren't you here to confess to me? So who are you going to give this bouquet of flowers to? Qi Tongwei deliberately lifted the bouquet of flowers, lifted them under his nose, and sucked in the fragrance of the flowers before speaking. This is a bouquet of flowers that I bought specifically to celebrate my new life. What's wrong? Liang Xiaolu widened her eyes and said dryly. Who has nothing to do, buy flowers for themselves. Without replying to Liang Xiaolu's words, Qi Tongwei continued to talk about the content he had just planned in advance. Let me tell you this, confessing is never possible. I advise you to just let this heart die. After all, you don't like me at all, you just like the ridiculous sense of victory when I bow down to you. Liang Xiaolu was both shocked and angry when Qi Tongwei poked her deep thoughts into her heart. She is a teacher at Handong University, and Qi Tongwei said so in front of so many students. How can she stand on the podium to teach students in the future? Liang Xiaolu reached out her slightly trembling hand from anger and pointed at Qi Tongwei, her voice trembling as she spoke. What are you talking nonsense about? Isn't that too much? Qi Tongwei tugged at the corner of his mouth and said without a smile. Too much. Is that too much? Can these words be even more outrageous than what you did to me? Liang Xiaolu's expression at this moment changed from anger just now to a hint of suspicion and uncertainty. She was a bit confused about what Qi Tongwei was going to say next. Why did this person suddenly become different from before? Without giving Liang Xiaolu a chance to defend himself, Qi Tongwei recounted all the bad things that Liang Xiaolu and the Liang family had done in front of the onlookers. I didn't agree with you chasing me, so you started tripping me behind my back. You and your father must have contributed a lot to assigning me to the township judicial office, right? Qi Tongwei lifted his gaze that had been staring at the flowers before and gave Liang Xiaolu a nonchalant glance. Although there was no implied content in this glance, it made Liang Xiaolu's heart skip a beat. The Liang family is really a powerful family. In order to achieve my initial ideals and aspirations, I can only choose to become a police officer that no one wants to do. I want to rely on my own efforts and pursue a bright future. I am proud and dedicated, and I was shot 3 times for the mission, becoming a down-to-earth hero. I thought that after becoming a hero, everything would have a good outcome. But what about it? Just because of your words, all my grades and the 3 shots I received have become insignificant. Can you carry out such revenge just because I rejected you? Am I going to waste my life at the bottom according to your ideas? I understand now, for those of you who hold power, what is a hero? Nothing. Heroes cannot be defeated in the face of power. Heroes are just dispensable tools in the face of power. At this moment, the onlookers were shocked and could even put an egg in their mouths. As soon as such explosive content was spoken, the onlookers immediately burst into flames. I'm telling you. Mr. Qi is also the president of the student union and is good at studying. How could such an excellent person be assigned to a small judicial office in the township? I didn't expect Teacher Liang to look quite gentle, but behind his back, there is such a person. As the ancients have said, knowing the face and the mind is not knowing. Who knows what a seemingly normal person looks like behind their back? Classmates, what exactly does Teacher Liang do at home? The voices of the students discussing around were not low, and Liang Xiaolu, who was not far away, could also hear them. Her face had turned red and white, with tears of anger and injustice in her eyes. As the daughter of Liang Chuanfen, former Deputy Secretary of the Handong Provincial Party Committee and Secretary of the Provincial Political and Legal Affairs Commission. She has been held in the palm of her hand since childhood, and she has never made such a fool of herself in front of so many people. And if what happened today gets out, she will definitely become the laughing stock of the entire Handong University after dinner. Chapter 3. System successfully opened, new book seeks data. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. System successfully started. The thought of such consequences made Liang Lu couldn't help but panic. Qi Tongwei, do you know what you're talking about? Her tears were about to burst, and she could only look at the man she no longer knew with a blurry gaze. Looking forward to the other person saying something, all of these words are just a joke, he is actually going to confess. But what Liang Lu and others came here was not what she expected. Qi Tongwei looked expressionlessly at Liang Lu and opened his mouth. Liang Lu, I advise you to take good care of yourself, do more good deeds, and put away your ugly heart. After Qi Tongwei finished speaking, regardless of how the onlookers were discussing, he casually turned around and walked towards the gate of Handong University, holding the bouquet of flowers to celebrate his new life. Qi Tongwei, who turned around and left, gracefully waved his sleeve without taking away a cloud. But Liang Lu, whose actions have already been made public, has no face to continue staying in school. She raised her hand to wipe away the tears that had already been left behind, and ran back to the office amidst the discussion and pointing of the students. Qi Tongwei calmly walked out of the gate of Handong University. Just as he stepped out of the gate, the mechanical female voice he had just woken up to heard echoed in his mind again. Detected that the owner has completed the activation task of the People's Soldier system, and the system is starting with a progress of 10%. After hearing the prompt that the system was starting, Qi Tongwei's footsteps were much faster than before. Start progress 50%, during the system startup progress broadcast, he quickly walked back to the small rundown hotel not far from Handong University. The old decoration and yellowed walls did not attract Qi Tongwei's attention at all. After entering the room, he walked straight towards the single bed and sat by the bed. After a slow start-up process, the People's Children's Soldier system finally reached the moment when it was about to be launched. Start progress 99%, the activation of the People's Children's Soldier system has been successful and has been launched. The host can use consciousness or language to operate the system, and if there are any unclear points, they can also ask questions through these two methods. Is that what's going on? Qi Tongwei originally thought that there would be system rewards such as beginner gift packages that would be distributed as the system was activated. Unexpectedly, the mechanical sound did not sound again, and the system activation was only activated. Anyway, the system has been successfully activated, and rewards and other rewards will be available in the future. The absence of a beginner gift package did not affect Qi Tongwei's good mood. He looked with great interest at the system interface that had just been called out with consciousness. On the homepage of the system interface, in addition to basic functions such as warehouses and shopping malls, there is a personal attribute option that attracts his attention. System, open personal properties. The interface in front of Qi Tongwei immediately changed, and the personal attribute interface that could be seen was very similar to the panel displaying attributes in a game he had played in his past life. Personal attributes host name. Qi Tongwei preferred hand. Right hand vision. 9.0 listening. 8.6 strength. 8.9 endurance. 7.8 speed. 8.7 skills possessed. None have skills. Qi Tongwei looked at these 4 words and thought of a possibility in his heart. Does this mean that you can learn various skills like those characters in games? I just don't know how to acquire skills. He suddenly thought that after the system was successfully started, he could ask any questions directly. System. Yes, Master. How do I acquire skills? You can obtain skills rewards by completing tasks published by the system, exploring and mastering your own practice, and being taught by others to acquire skills. Once a skill is successfully acquired, the level of the skill can also be improved based on its proficiency in use. Qi Tongwei's eyes lit up instantly. Since he wanted to join the army, he must have learned various military skills. If the skill level can be improved with proficiency, over time, we will definitely have a place in the military with various powerful skills. What are the standards for these data? What is the level of my data? Reaching 8 is already considered the normal standard for an ordinary male. 10 is very good, but if you want to further improve to 10 or above, it will be difficult and require extraordinary effort, I see, but in terms of endurance. The data for the other items is quite good, and Qi Tongwei is also quite satisfied. If not, just practice. He believes that as long as he works hard, he will eventually reach 10. However, endurance alone did not meet the basic standards. Qi Tongwei frowned, thinking about where the problem lay. In theory, as a drug enforcement officer, it is impossible for him to be inferior to ordinary people in terms of physical fitness. His hand habitually lightly touched the slightly uncomfortable leg before suddenly reacting. Could it be due to being shot in the leg that endurance did not reach normal levels? But in this way, Qi Tongwei came up with a question that may have some impact on the upcoming arrangements. Training in the military is all high-intensity training. Qi Tongwei frowned and looked at his leg, which had been shot 3 times, thinking to himself, can he withstand the high-intensity training in the military? With this question in mind, it is unclear whether the physical requirements in the conscription requirements can be approved. He is preparing to take out his phone and search online to see the conditions for conscription. Lift your head to see the yellowed walls, and then take a look at the interior furnishings of the poorly decorated hotel rooms. Then I realized that I am currently living in the 1990s. In the 1990s, not to mention mobile phones, the popularity of smartphones was not widespread, and high-tech technologies such as the internet are even more fantastical for people today. Qi Tongwei wanted to know about the conscription conditions at this time, but he couldn't even search online and had to go to a place specifically responsible for this aspect to inquire. He looked up at the old-fashioned clock hanging on the wall, ticking and running desperately. The hour hand pointed to 9:42. Just in time, let's go to the office responsible for conscription and have a look. When we come back, we'll find a place to have lunch. Before coming to Handong University, Qi Tongwei took 2 days off, including half a day yesterday afternoon. At best, there is still 1 day of free time. According to the original plan, after successfully confessing, Qi Tongwei only returned to the township judicial office the next morning. But now Qi Tongwei not only has not confessed, but he is also not prepared to do this terrible job. It's better to resign and take a different path than to waste your whole life in the township judicial office. After all, as the ancient said, all roads lead to Rome. With the system in place, he firmly believes that joining the army may be his necessary path to Rome. Moreover, the Dragon Kingdom emphasizes the separation of military and politics, allowing Liang Lu and his Liang family to dominate the political circles of Handong province. But once the matter involves the military, no matter how powerful the Liang family is, it is impossible for them to extend their hand and intervene in the military's decisions. Chapter 4. Requires injury for at least 1 year. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although he has lived at Handong University for 4 years, Qi Tongwei is also relatively familiar with this city. But his major is in politics and law, which is not something he can do with being a soldier. So it's a bit difficult for him, the student union president of the School of Political Science and Law at Handong University, to find a recruitment office. In this era without mobile phones and internet, Qi Tongwei had no choice but to go to the front desk downstairs and ask the old man sitting in the lounge chair smoking a cigarette to see if he knew there was a conscription office nearby. Fortunately, the old man was a local and familiar with everything around him, which gave him a direction. Qi Tongwei carefully looked at the iconic buildings on the roadside, distinguishing whether he was about to turn into another road. After reaching the small shop, turn right. He followed the old man's instructions and turned into another road. After walking along this road for about 5 or 6 minutes, he finally found the place he was looking for, which is the street office of Handong University City. Pushing open the door of the office, Qi Tongwei saw conscription information on the prominent blackboard in the lobby of the office. He walked directly towards the blackboard and looked at the detailed content of the conscription information. Protecting the country and never regretting, green military camps offer youth the annual summer conscription time again. Economic development does not forget national defense construction, and living and working in peace and contentment does not forget to serve the motherland. Our current beautiful life cannot be separated from the struggle and perseverance of the people's children and soldiers. The tomorrow of our motherland requires the joint efforts of each and every one of us. The conditions for this summer conscription are as follows. Male youth are young people aged 18 to 20 years old, with a high school graduation or higher education level. Employees of enterprises and institutions can be extended to 21 years old, and those with a college education or above can be extended to 22 years old. For undergraduate graduates, as long as they voluntarily join the military, the age limit can be extended to 23. In order to meet the needs of military construction, according to my voluntary choice, I can recruit some male youth who have graduated from high schools, including vocational schools, and technical schools, and are over 17 years old to enlist. Joining the military alone is a great honor for the whole family. It is the honorable duty and sacred duty of every eligible youth to serve in accordance with the law. All eligible youth are welcome to sign up actively. I graduated from undergraduate school at the age of 23, which is quite suitable in terms of age, but I don't know about this physical examination. The conscription conditions written on the blackboard do not mention the requirements for physical examination. Qi Tongwei could only walk towards the staff in the center of the hall again. Hello, may I ask if there are any other requirements for conscription besides those written on the blackboard? The older sister sitting behind the high platform put down the document she was reading and looked up at Qi Tongwei. After seeing that his appearance didn't look much like he was over age, I took one out of a stack of promotional pages at hand and handed it to him. The requirements are all written here. If they meet the requirements, you can come to me again to request the application form. Okay, thank you. Qi Tongwei grabbed the promotional page and walked out of the office. He is going to find a small shop to eat first, sit down and carefully examine these requirements. On the way back to the small hotel, Qi Tongwei saw a Xiaolongbao shop, which he often visited during his school days. Ha! Xiaoqi, you're here. Yes, Aunt Song, I'm here to do something. I'm still the same, let's have a basket of shiitake mushrooms and a basket of green pepper meat. Okay, you can sit down for a while and then get up. He sat in the aisle seat he used to sit in, and then unfolded the foldable promotional page in his hand. Other requirements, such as family background, height, weight, vision, etc., he just glanced at them hastily. The background is absolutely clean, with a height of 180 and a normal weight. As a skilled sniper, how could his vision not meet the requirements? His main focus is on situations such as physical injuries and what kind of conditions they are. Scanning through the content at a glance, I finally found a detailed description of the physical examination requirements in the latter half of the promotional page. Does it take a year to meet the requirements after being injured? The content on the promotional page confirms Qi Tongwei's concerns. My gunshot wound hasn't been around for a year yet, and I still feel uncomfortable every day with the location of the gunshot wound in my leg. If you go for a physical examination like this, you will definitely fail. I didn't expect to get stuck in my age, but instead got stuck in my physical examination. But if he doesn't join the army, his system of people's soldiers is probably unusable. From system startup until now, apart from asking questions to the system has not issued any further prompts. Qi Tongwei had already guessed in his heart, afraid that the dormant system would only become active after he successfully entered the military camp. And even after being injured for a year and able to move freely, his age will still exceed the application criteria. This dilemma made Qi Tongwei somewhat unsure of what to do. After all, it is a mandatory requirement implemented by the entire Dragon Kingdom. Can we still modify it separately for him? Xiaoqi, your 2 steamed buns. Thank you, Aunt Song. The world is vast, and eating is the greatest. Qi Tongwei folded up the promotional page and stuffed it into his pocket. I poured some soy sauce into the small seasoning dish, added some chili oil and vinegar. Take out the disposable chopsticks from the chopstick bucket on the table, break them apart, grind the burrs on the chopsticks left and right, pick up the small dragon buns from the cage drawer, and eat them. Still that smell. I took a small bite and tasted the taste, which highly overlapped with the taste in my memory. Qi Tongwei, who was already hungry, stuffed the remaining half of the small bun into his mouth. Just when he chews the Xiaolongbao stuffed in his mouth with satisfaction. The mechanical sound of the system rang out untimely. Trigger system task. Apply to join the military, cough 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 cough. Qi Tongwei, who was eating Xiaolongbao intently, was startled by the sudden sound and coughed. He quickly took a sip of water, suppressed his cough, and listened carefully to the task. Task content. Collect the application form and submit the application materials for enlistment. Reward for completing. 3 trauma healing posts. Qi Tongwei was delighted to hear the task information and completion rewards released by the system. The mountains and rivers are so heavy that there is no way out, and the willows are hidden and the flowers are bright, creating another village. The 3 leg injuries that troubled him were easily resolved. Qi Tongwei suddenly felt that his body and mind were much more relaxed, and he felt like he could still show off a bowl of porridge. Aunt Song, give me another bowl of porridge and a portion of pickled vegetables. Okay, we'll be here soon. After solving the biggest problem, Qi Tongwei's eyebrows relaxed and he had a delicious lunch. He didn't go back to the street office in the university city to get the application form because he had one more thing to do before applying to join the army. Hot knowledge. If you want to become an officer, you need to first study military academies, which is common sense and one of the hard conditions of the military. The advantage of undergraduate graduates is that they can be promoted quickly, but if they have not studied military academies, they can only start from the top soldiers. The protagonist will quickly advance to become an officer and a general in the future. Chapter 5. Resignation and completing the application for enlistment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. After finishing lunch, Qi Tongwei returned to the small hotel where he stayed all night. After packing up, I immediately went to the front desk to check out. The old man who told him the way before leaving still asked him in confusion. Didn't we stay until tomorrow morning? Why did we leave now? Qi Tongwei just replied. There's something I need to go back and do, so I'll leave first and there's no need to refund the money. After leaving the door of the dilapidated hotel, Qi Tongwei walked towards the direction of the long-distance bus station in his memory, holding a briefcase and a bag. As a small police officer, it is definitely impossible to assign a separate vehicle. When Qi Tongwei came, he came with his legs on and took a long-distance bus, so when he went back, he could only go back like this. Without delay, he had to rush back to the police station in the afternoon to submit his resignation application. Due to the nature of the position within the establishment, after submitting the resignation application, approval is required layer by layer, and tedious work handover is also required. He doesn't want to waste his precious time on meaningless waiting. I will first go back and submit my resignation application, and then find an office in the town to receive an application form. In this way, while waiting, he can also fill out information and make some preparations before enlisting. Due to having lunch earlier, when Qi Tongwei arrived at his workplace, it was only around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I have enough time to return to the office and write a resignation report to submit. He first went to the big office and asked for a resignation report from the person in charge of managing the documents. Then, in the surprised gaze of the internship assistant girl, she calmly took a resignation report and left the big office. An ordinary grassroots police officer cannot enjoy the treatment of a small office unless he reaches the rank of captain or higher. And as an ordinary police officer who was shot 3 times and had experienced the Model Award, he actually enjoyed it. It's also ridiculous to say that heroes don't get promoted, but on the contrary, these indifferent things are not stingy. This place is really a nest occupied by a nest of moths nowadays. Fortunately, I'm about to leave, and even the demons and monsters in Handong province can't control me anymore. My colleagues in the small office are not here, so I guess they went on a mission. Qi Tongwei hummed a tune in a good mood and sat at his desk, writing his resignation report with a lively brush under his pen. Old Li, who was in the same office, saw this scene when he walked in. He had just returned to the police station when he heard the news of Qi Tongwei's resignation from the intern girl's mouth. Immediately ran back to the office, ready to inquire about the reason. But when I returned, I saw a relaxed expression on Qi Tongwei's face that I had hardly seen before. Lao Li thinks it's okay not to ask this question, let him go. Have you made a decision? Qi Tongwei lifted his head and looked at his colleague who had returned. Well, it's decided. The two of them had a tacit understanding and didn't say anything more. In fact, there were also colleagues in the bureau who felt unworthy of Qi Tongwei, and Lao Li was one of them. But they are just ordinary grassroots police officers, and they don't even have the qualification to speak up for Qi Tongwei. He also understands the approach of his colleagues to protect themselves. After all, they are not relatives or relatives. Who would lose their iron rice bowl just to speak up for you? The office has returned to quiet, and Qi Tongwei's resignation essay has also come to an end. The last period came to an end, and the resignation report was already filled with words. Lao Li, I'll go to the director's office. Okay, go ahead. Old Li watched as Qi Tongwei walked out of the office door before lowering his head again to busy himself with his affairs. Dong 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 dong. After knocking on the door and waiting for a while, without hearing any response, Qi Tongwei directly opened the office door and placed his resignation report on the director's desk. Regardless of whether the person is present or not, submit the report and proceed with the rest through the process. Anyway, resigning is something that Liang Lu and the Liang family will definitely enjoy, and it won't be a hindrance to themselves in this matter. In addition, since I am not an indispensable and important person, submitting my resignation report is 100% safe from any accidents, and it is simply a matter of the length of the approval process. After submitting the report, Qi Tongwei grabbed his bag and walked out of the police station's gate. It's around 4:30 now, and the nearest office to the police station probably hasn't finished work yet. Qi Tongwei rode on the 2 or 8 bars of the bureau and quickly pedaled towards the direction of the office. Hurry up slowly, it can be considered as walking through the office gate after work. Qi Tongwei, who was riding too fast and panting, didn't have time to take a break and headed straight to the counter of the staff. "Hello, I would like a draft application form." At this moment, some staff members who were in a hurry to finish work quickly pulled out a document from the cabinet. I didn't ask any questions and just handed it to Qi Tongwei. "Thank you." After Qi Tongwei received the application form, he put it in his briefcase and, under the urging of the staff, turned around and walked out of the office door. After he left the office gate, the rolling shutter door behind him was also pulled down. Not bad, it also caught me up. I'll go back and fill him out tonight. The amount of exercise today is not high, but the discomfort at the gunshot wound in the leg has increased somewhat. This makes Qi Tongwei even more excited about the rewards given by the system after completing the task. If his leg injury can be completely healed, he can also start recovering his physical fitness training earlier and prepare for future military training. The briefcase was hanging on the handle of the car, and Qi Tongwei snorted back to the dormitory arranged by the bureau. The treatment of public officials in this era is quite good, and their staff dormitory is a small 40-square-meter house. Although sparrows are small, they have all 5 internal organs and a wide range of daily necessities. No wonder the craze for taking the civil service exam has been going on for so many years, but unfortunately, my ambition is not based on this. Since there is an opportunity to become a good person, who would be living in a 40-square-meter house, working 9 to 5 every day. Qi Tongwei saw that there were still some dishes in the kitchen and he was not hungry now, so he sat down at the desk in the room and began to study how to fill out this conscription application form. I don't have a phone or a computer, let alone a search reference. It's really inconvenient. Name: Qi Tongwei. Gender: male. Age: 23 years old. Height: 180 centimeters. ID number 098. 3421. Graduation school: School of Political Science and Law, Handong University. At the beginning of the application form, basic information was filled out, and Qi Tongwei quickly completed it. There is also a blank area in the back that looks like a composition section in a Chinese language exam. At the top, it says, "Please specify the reason why you want to join the military." Isn't this just for people to write short essays? Then I'm good at it. I apply to join the People's Soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom and volunteer to devote myself to the national defense cause of our country. Chapter 6. Farewell to the past and start a new life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Having been pondering over his choice of words, Qi Tongwei worked from 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock. After checking that there were no issues, he opened the drawer and put the application form away. Just wait for the resignation report to be approved, and you can submit the application form immediately. Drip by drop a rapid and faint bell rang, and Qi Tongwei finally remembered that the BB phone, full of a sense of era, was still not taken out of his briefcase. He got up and walked to the cabinet at the door, opened the briefcase placed on the cabinet, took out the BB machine, and wanted to see whose caller ID it was. 010, 56. This series of numbers, Qi Tongwei, can be said to have a deep impression and memorize them fluently. He came to work as an anti-drug police officer not only because he wanted to be promoted, but also because he wanted to be closer to the person who wrote the letter. I don't know why Qin Yang wrote this letter. The distance between their current workplaces is too far, and they haven't seen each other for a long time. In this era, communication methods are not well developed, which further limits the communication between two people. Even if it's a letter, it takes many days to arrive, and it's rare for him to be paged on a BB machine like this. Now Qi Tongwei has no feelings for Qin Yang, and he has decided to join the army, so he won't talk about feelings now. Moreover, based on the plot he had observed while watching the drama before, Chen Yanchi was clearly just pretending to be upright on the surface. His daughter was assigned to work in the capital, while his son, despite having average grades, was able to be directly assigned to the procuratorate after graduation, and later promoted to the director of the Anti-Corruption Bureau of the People's Procuratorate of Handong Province. Does Chen Yanchi dare to say that he hasn't used any of his connections? Anyway, Qi Tongwei doesn't believe it. And when he was suppressed by Liang Lu and other officials of the Liang family, he didn't see Chen Lao help him even say a word. And if he remembers correctly, after being assigned to the township judicial office, Chen Yanchi even told Chen Yang not to contact him and other heartless words. If it weren't for Chen Yang not cutting off communication with him according to Chen Yanchi's words, Qi Tongwei wouldn't have answered the phone message she sent at this time. However, when it comes to Chen Yang alone, he is still good to him. But as someone familiar with the plot in his past life, he knows that although Chen Yangren is good, he lacks the courage to work with Qi Tongwei and experience everything together. If not, why should his father take action? As long as Chen Yang walks around, others can also help by not looking at the monk's face or the Buddha's face. But from a matter of fact, not responding to Chen Yang's letter is not his style as Qi Tongwei. Since that's the case, let's settle for dinner at the roadside stall. Pick up the coat hanging on the hook and put on comfortable sports shoes with one foot. Qi Tongwei went downstairs and walked towards the nearest store to the dormitory. BB machines can only provide the recipient's phone number, and they also need to find a store with a landline phone to make a paid phone call in order to contact the recipient. In such an era of information blockage, a long distance means that we cannot speak a few times a year. I remember last time I called Chen Yang, it was still last time. It's going to be 3 or 4 months anyway. At around 7 o'clock in summer, it's not completely dark yet. Under the faint sunlight, Qi Tongwei didn't turn on his flashlight and walked leisurely to the entrance of the store. He sat down directly on the seat next to the phone table outside. After placing 50 cents in the nearby cash collection basket, Qi Tongwei extended his index finger and carried the phone number he had already memorized, turning the digital wheel of the old-fashioned landline phone. As the wheel stopped rotating, the familiar blind sound came from the phone. Du-du-du-du. The blind tone rang only 3 times, and the phone was answered. A familiar female voice came from the phone. "Hello, Tongwei. It's me." Qi Tongwei's feelings for Qin Yang all come from his memory. As for himself, he has no feelings for Qin Yang. So at this moment, Qi Tongwei didn't know what to say, but fortunately he fell silent after answering the question. Unexpectedly, the other party didn't say anything more for a moment, and the scene suddenly felt awkward. But Qi Tongwei was a bit anxious. The public phone in the store was charged by time, and if he remained silent, he would have to pay another 50 cents. Qi Tongwei, who comes from a small mountain village, has a clean family background. As the saying goes, a penny can't defeat a hero. If it weren't for the sake of money and power, Qi Tongwei in a previous drama wouldn't have ended up with a suicide. So before he can earn money, he needs to make the money he spends have a corresponding value, so he asked. "Is there anything wrong with suddenly sending me a paging message?" The person on the other side of the phone seemed to have been struggling for a long time before deciding to speak up. "Tongwei, I heard from Chen Hai that you are resigning." Yes, you also know that I am not here. Chen Yang asked with a somewhat worried tone. So, where are you going to work? This question is actually a difficult problem. In Qi Tongwei's memory, both of them had a good impression of each other, and he was also very grateful for the help from Chen Yang and the Chen family before. Although Qi Tongwei in the drama also thought in the later stages that if Chen Yang's father, Chen Yanshi, could help him at this time, perhaps he wouldn't become what he was later on. But at this time, Qi Tongwei did not have any complaints about the Chen family. After all, he was not the helpless and desperate Qi Tongwei at that time. But he really had no interest in Chen Yang, so after thinking for a while, Qi Tongwei still decided to tell her the truth. Anyway, in his impression, Chen Yang's life was also good without him. So she cut off her thoughts in advance and saved time for further discussion. I have already written my application for enlistment. Once the medical examination and political review are completed, I will follow the arrangements and go to the new barracks. Upon hearing what Qi Tongwei said, Chen Yang on the other end of the phone immediately became even more worried. What about your leg injury? How long has it been since then? Even if you pass the medical examination, can you withstand the training in the military camp? You don't have to worry about these anymore. I have my way, so I won't say it for a while. It's time to continue. Take care of yourself, we have a chance to see each other again. Hey! Wait! The busy sound of hanging up the phone appeared in Chen Yang's ear, and she stared out the window in a daze. How could she feel that after several months of absence, this man seemed to have become somewhat unfamiliar? Qi Tongwei actually heard what Chen Yang said at the end, but he still hung up the phone. It's not that he's really unwilling to give up this 50 cents, it's just that talking too much is useless. He must be a soldier. Chen Yang should also understand for himself that since he is not prepared to give her the future, he should not leave her with beautiful hope. This is Qi Tongwei's principle in life. After submitting the resignation report, 3 days later, the approval from above finally came down. During these 3 days, Qi Tongwei still checked in at the police station every morning and finished work on time at night. Due to his injury, there was not much outdoor work arranged for him. So these 3 days, he has been writing documents in the office and enjoying himself. He also took advantage of these 3 days of leisure time to tell his friends about his plans to join the army. Without exception, he received greetings from his friends about his leg injury. I answered this question too many times, and in the end, I was just evaded by him. The person who needs to be notified has already been notified almost. A relationship like Chen Yang, which has no future, has all that should be broken. Now that the resignation report has been approved layer by layer, we can finally put the submission of the military application and the preparation before joining the army on the agenda. Qi Tongwei took the resignation application approval document in his hand and went to the personnel department of the bureau, handing it over to the supervisor of the personnel department. Go back to the office and hold your bag and teacup, just like when you usually go home. Goodbye to his familiar colleagues, but without looking back, he left the place he once wanted as a springboard without any attachment. Chapter 7. Starting a Training Program. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I borrowed a bicycle from my neighbor, and Qi Tongwei rode to the office to submit the application form. Sister, how long will it take to receive notification after submitting the application form? After the staff properly placed the application form, they answered Qi Tongwei's question. Don't worry, after the political review is passed, someone will naturally notify you of the medical examination. Okay, thank you. On the way back, Qi Tongwei was riding his bike while contemplating the preparations and arrangements for enlistment. It's mid-July now, and the deadline for this summer's conscription is the end of August, which means there is still 1.5 months left to improve the physical fitness that hasn't been continued due to leg gunshot injuries recently. Qi Tongwei's pedal was pressing hard, and he suddenly heard the three-dimensional mechanical sound reverberating 360 degrees in his mind. Congratulations to the master for completing the task of applying to join the army. I hope the host can attend military academy as soon as possible, become an officer, and quickly complete promotion. The sudden sound startled him, and the cyclist almost tilted the direction of the handlebars. Qi Tongwei couldn't help but interrupt the system's notification. Why are you so strange every time you appear? Can you make a sound next time when my feet touch the ground? Sorry master, I will definitely pay attention next time. Qi Tongwei still wants system rewards, so he didn't continue to talk about this matter. Well, you can continue. The reward for completing the task is 3 trauma healing stickers, which have been distributed to the system warehouse. If the owner wants to use it, they can use their mind to summon items from the system warehouse and appear in the real space you are currently in. You can use them directly. Oh. It's so convenient. 24 hours a day, there are always 12 hours of uncomfortable legs while fishing intermittently. This is the only thing that has troubled Qi Tongwei in the past few days. Since the system rewards have been in place, he will definitely use them as soon as possible. Qi Tongwei found a deserted place and rode his bike to the roadside, putting down his bicycle legs. Take out the healing post. He looked around and there was no place to put anything, so he continued. Just put it in my hand. He tried to operate the system with his mind, and at the moment he issued a command in his consciousness, 3 plaster-like things appeared on his outstretched palm. Qi Tongwei curiously picked up a piece with his right hand and observed it carefully. Surprisingly, it still comes with packaging and instructions. The packaging is a plain and unremarkable design resembling a plaster, but without the representative tiger pattern. And the instructions are different from those in regular medicines. On a 32K white paper, there are only a few simple lines of text. External injury healing postscript, effect. Heal small trauma, including nerve discomfort and pain caused by the wound and its location. Side effects. None. Target audience. General usage. Tear off the plastic paper on the back and apply it to the wound for 24 hours before removing it. Attention! The adhesive is too sticky, please be careful not to be too violent when tearing it off. It's like a plaster, simple and convenient. Qi Tongwei rolled up his pants legs, tore open the plastic paper on the back, and directly applied a half-palm-sized square healing patch to the wound with obvious marks. The other 2 gunshot wounds were also processed in the same way. After sticking it on, Qi Tongwei only felt that the skin that had been stuck by the healing patch felt a bit cold and slightly itchy. These feelings are also relatively weak and there is no discomfort. After covering all 3 wounds, Qi Tongwei took out the BB machine from his briefcase and glanced at it at 14.58. I don't know what the injury will look like 24 hours later. With some anticipation in his heart, he kicked his bicycle legs and rode back. Anyway, there is still 1.5 months of preparation time, so Qi Tongwei is not in a hurry to resume training now. After waiting for 24 hours honestly, the next afternoon at 3 o'clock, he sat on the small sofa at home on time, nervously looking at the 3 healing notes on his leg. I don't know if the healing effect of the post has already healed the leg wound or what, but Qi Tongwei really can't feel the intermittent discomfort he had before. Due to his direct perception, Qi Tongwei became even more hopeful about the condition of his leg injury after tearing off the healing patch. After taking a deep breath, Qi Tongwei began to pick up the healing patch on his leg. Due to the cleanliness of the nail clipper, he had to buckle it several times before revealing the corner of the healing patch. I'll go, I thought it would stick, but I didn't expect it to be so sticky. Qi Tongwei, who was pulling a corner of the healing patch and preparing to slowly tear off the entire patch, felt his painful eyes sweating. This is the whole rhythm of forced hair removal. Is this damn thing called no side effects? When I peel it off, my whole body is sweating. Qi Tongwei couldn't help but doubt the system. He no longer paid attention to the pain of his leg hair sticking off, but anxiously looked at the appearance of the injury. The wound after tearing off the patch is actually about the same size as when it was not applied, with only a slightly lighter color. This couldn't help but make Qi Tongwei a little suspicious. The scar hasn't changed much. Has the leg really been cured as stated in the manual? The outcome of the treatment determines whether Qi Tongwei's future military journey can continue, so he decided to manually try the therapeutic effect of this patch. He first extended his right index finger and placed it on the wound in his leg. Then he took a deep breath, as if he had made some decision, and pressed down hard the next second. When doing this action, Qi Tongwei nervously closed his eyes. However, the expected pain did not come, and he poked twice harder, and then poked the area next to it that had no wounds. It really doesn't hurt at all. A surprised and joyful expression appeared on his face. If the cost of treating such a deep wound is simply losing leg hair. If this sticker were to be sold on the market, it would probably be sold out in one go and make a lot of money after being mentally prepared. Qi Tongwei was fortunate enough to remove a small edge from the remaining two positions and happily tore it off. Long pain is better than short pain. Tear it off at once and you don't have to endure psychological torment. I have to wear long pants for this leg this summer, otherwise the hair in the 3 areas is sparse, which can easily be misunderstood. 3 gunshot wounds have been cured now. Although there are still scars on the wound, it is much better than before when it was uncomfortable and painful when pressed. In this way, there is nothing else that can affect Qi Tongwei's next training plan. He patted his stomach because he had lost his abdominal muscles due to previous pain and laziness. We need to quickly put the training on the agenda. Today, as the injury has just healed, there were not many parts of the lower limbs that needed to be used in the pre-designated training plan. After leaving a space for exercise in the living room, Qi Tongwei directly propped himself up on the ground and began doing push-ups. He wants to give it a try. How many more can he do at once, and it will reach its current limit. Chapter 8. Qi Tongwei joins the army, everyone startles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the following time, while waiting for the medical examination notification to arrive, Qi Tongwei began various trainings simultaneously. From the beginning, restore physical fitness and improve the physical fitness of laziness. Gradually strengthen physical fitness and practice weight-bearing in the later stages. Although I don't have a job, I live a fulfilling life every day. What Qi Tongwei doesn't know is that his time here is quiet, and he doesn't have much to worry about except for training every day. But other people who have some connection with him are more worried than him one by one. After Qi Tongwei told Chen Yang that he wanted to join the army, Chen Yang was worried every day. This abnormal situation naturally attracted the attention of parents. Under the pressure of Chen Yanshi and the elderly couple, Chen Yang still told them about Qi Tongwei's situation. What? Xiaoqi is going to join the army. Chen Shiyan supported Qi Tongwei to attend university, but the purpose was not to make him abandon politics and join the military. I offended the Liang family and let my efforts go to waste. Now I even have to join the army and become a big soldier. What exactly is on the mind of this poor kid from the countryside? Chen, who has always had a temper, immediately lowered his expression on his face. What exactly does Xiaoqi think, starting with new recruits when joining the army? How long will that have to endure before it can rise? Or does he want to be a big soldier at the grassroots level for the rest of his life? But now that I am a police officer, even though I have been awarded the Hero Award, I don't think I will be promoted. Of course, Chen Yang didn't dare to say what she had said, she could only say it in her own heart. She wants her father, and it would be great if she could transfer Qi Tongwei to a good company based on family connections. But Chen Yanshi, in other words, looks down on Qi Tongwei, who comes from a rural background. Relying on his own power to pave the way for Qi Tongwei, a rural bumpkin, Chen Yanshi, the former executive deputy prosecutor general of the People's Procuratorate of Handong Province, felt somewhat unworthy. Even if his daughter Chen Yang came to beg him, he would definitely not be able to use his network to help Qi Tongwei, this poor boy, establish this relationship. Moreover, Chen Yang himself felt that Qi Tongwei's hasty move was too hasty. As an ordinary soldier, can the two still have that day together? But his own father couldn't help him either, so Chen Yang had to worry, but there was no solution. However, Chen Yang never thought that if she acted a bit harder or took the initiative to do something for Qi Tongwei, perhaps the outcome of things would become different. Chen Yang's mother, Wang Fuzhen, saw that the old man was really getting angry and quickly spoke up to persuade him. "Oh my, don't be so anxious, old Chen. Maybe Xiaoqi has his own considerations. Just because you are always willing to speak for him, I think he has a short-sighted attitude and has a broken jar. Do it here and do it there. If you can't persist in a position, how can you achieve great success? Is he really a soldier that anyone can go to? In the future, he will never be able to rise to the grassroots level in the army, and there will be a day when he regrets it. Xiaoyang, hurry up and meet the blind date your aunt mentioned. Don't wait for this poor boy anymore. He won't make any achievements in the future just like this." Chen Yang became anxious when he heard that his father had asked her to go on a blind date. "Dad! What are you talking about? I'm not going. No way. Even if you don't go, you have to go to me. If this stinky kid becomes our son.in.law, I'll make this stinky kid angry at me sooner or later. If Mr. Chen of the Chen family despises Qi Tongwei's background, and his current hatred is not strong enough, then Liang Lu hates Qi Tongwei for publicly humiliating herself that day. With Liang Lu's vengeful personality, she has sworn that Qi Tongwei's future life will not be easier. While working today, Liang Lu unexpectedly learned from Qi Tongwei's friend that Qi Tongwei was about to join the military. Qi Tongwei's friend was going back to school to ask the school leaders to sign a certificate when he happened to meet an acquaintance and talked about it with them. Liang Lu, who was passing by, heard Qi Tongwei's name and then hid behind the wall not far from them, listening to the corner of the wall. Although I didn't hear all the previous content, the important part of joining the army was actually listened to by Liang Lu. Liang Lu, who already has a revenge mentality towards men, has been hating Qi Tongwei so much these days that her teeth itch. Seeing Qi Tongwei's friend, who was about to walk this way after chatting, Liang Lu pretended to have just walked over and calmly brushed past him. But beneath Liang Lu's calm appearance, she was thinking about how to prevent Qi Tongwei from joining the army. I need to go back and tell my dad that I must stir up the matter of Qi Tongwei joining the army. He has given me such a great shame, I must make him overturn everything he said before in front of everyone at school, kneel down to confess to me as a failure. Liang Lu, who was still daydreaming about kneeling down to confess in public, had already decided to go home tonight and tell Liang Chuanfeng about it. His father, former Deputy Secretary of the Handong Provincial Party Committee and Secretary of the Provincial Political and Legal Affairs Commission, removed Qi Tongwei's quota for military service, which was not an easy task. On the deserted path, Liang Lu showed her unknown side, with a somewhat sinister smile on her face. Wait, Qi Tongwei. I must make sure you have no way to go. Come back and obediently bow your head to me. At the dinner table of the Liang family in the evening, Liang Lu told her father Liang Chuanfeng about Qi Tongwei's plan to join the army. This news also surprised Liang Chuanfeng, as he thought he had heard it wrong. Lulu, are you saying that Qi Tongwei wants to join the army? Yes, Dad, this person used to humiliate me in front of so many students. You must help me, let him directly lose the election, come back in front of all the teachers and students in the school, kneel down and confess to me. I will double the humiliation he has given me, and I will also let him taste it. What's the feeling of not looking up? Liang Chuanfeng naturally understood his daughter and also understood Liang Lu's hatred towards Qi Tongwei now. And he made his daughter look ugly in public, and even Liang Chuanfeng, who used to hold high positions in government, couldn't hold back his face. It's just that this matter really makes it difficult for this retired high-ranking official. Lulu, Dad knows you've been wronged. It's just a separation of military and government, which has been a rule since the founding of the Dragon Kingdom. The military's decisions are not subject to political interference. If Dad wants to intervene in the military's decision, A red-headed document will be issued the next day in the early 1990s. The distinction between military and government was particularly severe, and one should be more cautious when holding a high position. It is impossible to intervene in military affairs just because of such small matters. The gains outweigh the losses. Upon hearing her father's words, Liang Lu's face showed a disappointed expression. Liang Chuanfeng couldn't bear to let his precious daughter feel so sad, so he changed his tone. However, there is also an opportunity for change in this matter. On Liang Lu's disappointed face, there was a glimmer of anticipation. Dad, tell me quickly how to change it. Liang Chuanfeng's face showed a winning expression, and he first asked Liang Lu a question. Do you think it's difficult to enter politics or the military? Liang Lu pondered for a while before hesitating to answer. Is it harder to join the army? Because it was a part that she couldn't touch, Liang Lu naturally answered this answer. Liang Chuanfeng nodded and agreed with Liang Lu's statement. He continued confidently. You're right, in fact, among the old folks in our circle, everyone agrees that the military is more difficult to stand out than politics. Chapter 9. Sending letters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So there's no need for you to be in such a hurry now. Qi Tongwei clearly has no way out, bumping around like a headless fly. Is it so easy to become a soldier? He might think he could easily switch officers and climb up. After 2 years of conscription, he will realize how difficult this road is. When there is no way to get promoted and there is no way out, he will naturally come back to find you. What do you want him to do then? Isn't it an easy task? You are my daughter of Liang Chuanfeng, you can't be so calm. After listening to her father's analysis, Liang Lu regained her usual confidence. After discussing this matter, the family continued to enjoy their dinner and waited for 2 years before Qi Tongwei's desperate situation appeared. I basically know what I should know about joining the army, and I also know what I shouldn't know from others. Only the elderly villagers in the village who provided Qi Tongwei with access to university were completely unaware of this matter. This is not to say that he has any conflicts with the villagers, but rather that Qi Tongwei has been thinking for several days without considering how to make the villagers worry less about him. Just dragging on and on, there is less than half a month left until the end of August. The time for issuing the medical examination notice is approaching, and Qi Tongwei cannot continue to delay it. If you want to enlist yourself, you won't be able to return to the village for at least 2 years. And during the political review process after the physical examination, he will also conduct investigations and visits to his hometown. Even if I don't say it myself, my parents and fellow villagers will know. The villagers each raised a little money, so that they had the opportunity to leave the village and attend university. It was not appropriate for their parents and fellow villagers to learn from others about this matter. In the 1990s, it was so difficult for people in big cities to communicate with each other, let alone the small countryside where Qi Tongwei came from. If you want to contact the villagers in your hometown, the only way is to write letters to them. The letter takes about 10 days to be mailed to my hometown, and the villagers are still people who have been farming for generations and have not received much cultural education. They have received the letter and need the help of young people who occasionally return to the village to read it, so that they can know what Qi Tongwei is going to say to them. If the villagers want to contact Qi Tongwei, there are 2 options. The first one is to ask the young person who is helping to read the letter to write another letter and send it over. The second one is to go to a shop in the larger neighboring village where you can make a paid phone call and pay Qi Tongwei to call. Either of these 2 methods is not very convenient. So since Qi Tongwei started university, his connections with his fellow villagers have become few and far between. That afternoon, Qi Tongwei specially took a break for himself. He needs to write a letter to his fellow villagers, explaining his current situation and his upcoming plans to join the army. In order not to make them overly worried, it is necessary to carefully consider how to write. Dear uncles, grandparents, aunts and aunts, I resigned from my job as a police officer recently and signed up for this summer's conscription. I'm really ashamed that I haven't made a name for myself yet. I'm really sorry for all the help you've given me. But I guarantee that I will put in a lot of effort this time and make a name for myself in the army, so that the villagers can have a good face. And regarding the matter of the partner you mentioned last time, I think career should still be the top priority now. When my career improves, I will bring back a partner to show you. By the way, last time Uncle Ma asked me to help afterwards, I explained the previously explained matters clearly and explained the current situation. Qi Tongwei folded the letter paper, stuffed it into an envelope, stuck a stamp on it, and wrote the detailed address and postal code on the envelope. Go out and mail the letter, and also take a run. Since resuming training, Qi Tongwei has been feeling uncomfortable every day for only a few kilometers. Simply taking the key and envelope, Qi Tongwei put on his sports shoes and left. Although he hasn't lived here for a long time, during these few days of running, he has already figured out what's around him. Within nearly 5 kilometers, including the location of the receiving mailbox, he was clear about it. After warming up, Qi Tongwei ran over at a constant speed in the direction he remembered. On the way, I also met several familiar neighbors who greeted him as usual. Did Xiaoqi come out to exercise again? Uncle Lu, I'll go send the letter. Oh, can I send a letter to your home? Then go ahead and don't wait until after work, they won't come to collect it today. Okay Uncle Lu, I'll go right away. After he moved in, Uncle Lu and some of his neighbors also kindly helped a few times, so Qi Tongwei would usually stop and chat with them. After saying goodbye, Qi Tongwei quickened his running pace and after more than 10 minutes, he arrived at the nearest mailbox to the dormitory building and threw the sealed letter in. In this way, the villagers will definitely receive the letter by the end of the month, and the last difficult task before departure has already been completed. The rest will be waiting for the medical examination notification. The time is approaching August 28th, and there are only 4 days left until next month. During this period, Qi Tongwei has also been persisting in daily training without slacking off. Since the pain in his leg wound disappeared, he has also gained confidence in passing the physical examination. After all, the efforts put in will not deceive anyone. Friends who learned about his plans to join the military also tacitly refused to disturb him. They only said that they would have a meal together before departure, which could be considered as a way to make up for the regret of not being able to meet in the past 2 years. I thought I would wait calmly until the day I received the notification, but in the afternoon, the BB phone, which had not received any new calls for several days, suddenly rang again. Who could it be? Qi Tongwei, who was doing strength training in the living room, had some doubts about who was so idle to call him during this working hour. After putting down the things in his hand, Qi Tongwei walked to the desk and picked up the BB machine on the table. Over the past month and a half, he has also become accustomed to using this old-fashioned communication device. Skilled in operating the BB machine and opening the unread message interface, Qi Tongwei furrowed his brows and looked at the string of numbers, lost in thought. Why does this number look a bit familiar? Although he felt familiar, Qi Tongwei thought for a while but still couldn't remember whose phone number it was. Forget it. Go to the store and call back to ask. After picking up the towel hanging on the back of the chair and wiping the sweat on the neck and back due to training, Qi Tongwei changed into clean clothes and walked out with the key and BB machine. Chapter 10. High Expectations. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Qi Tongwei arrived at the store, there was already a person sitting at the telephone table at the door making a phone call. He, who was originally planning to wait in line behind this person, was called into the inner room by the boss. Xiaoqi, come inside and make a phone call. There's no one here. Qi Tongwei looked in the direction of the sound and found that the shop owner was waving at him. So Qi Tongwei decisively gave up queuing and immediately walked into the store. Because Qi Tongwei wanted to join the army, people always called him at the beginning to ask why he wanted to join the army. He would make phone calls to this small shop at most 5 or 6 times a day at that time. So at this point, the shop owner was completely familiar with him and saw him queuing outside, so he directly let him in to make a phone call in the owner's room. Qi Tongwei was not polite to the boss either. Apart from training today, there were also arrangements to go out and buy things to bring into the army. His time is precious, it's better not to waste it. The landline inside the house is also a dial phone, only slightly smaller than the one outside, but Qi Tongwei is really not used to dial phones. It's a matter of just a few clicks to get a string of numbers, but it takes half a day to transfer them. Fortunately, improvements have been made later on. Otherwise, people in the sales industry would have to transfer the phone dial for half a day when making phone calls. Qi Tongwei made 6 phone calls in a day and turned the telephone dial for a long time to complain about the original words. Roast belongs to roast, but he still needs to use it. He takes out the BB machine from his pocket and dials back with the number on it. It was obvious that the other side was waiting in front of the phone, and the blind tone only rang once before the phone was picked up by someone. "Hello, Xiaowei." A male voice over the phone sounded quite old and experienced. Qi Tongwei heard such a representative voice from a young age. Although he hasn't lived in his hometown for a long time, he can immediately recognize the sound as soon as he hears it. The owner of the sound is Zhao Bo, who has been taking care of him since childhood. "Zhao Bo. Why did you call? Did you go to the store in the neighboring village?" He couldn't imagine how long it took Zhao Bo, who was reluctant to spend money, to call him. The voice with an accent came through the receiver again on the other side of the phone. However, this time it's not the male voice of the vicissitudes, but the voice of an elderly woman who is worried. "Xiaowei, we received your letter sent home. Why don't you become a police officer? Did something happen?" The worried situation has indeed happened. Qi Tongwei has a headache. How should he explain it to Zhao Bo and his wife? Can't he always say that he has a system now and can't use it without joining the army? That's probably going to be arrested as a mental illness and sent to a mental hospital for a few months. He can only try his best to comfort them. "Uncle Zhao and Auntie, you know I have always wanted to stand out, but after receiving the Hero Award, I still stayed in my current bureau and did not transfer to Jingzhou. I don't want to stay in this place until retirement. I want to let your 2 elders live a good life when you're still young, and also let other villagers in the village live a good life. Don't worry, I'm not feeling wronged or something else has happened. I just want to try a different path. I assure you that I will definitely work hard after enlisting, and I will definitely strive for success in the military, but as elders, we all hope that the younger generation can live a comfortable and healthy life." Zhao Bo and Zhao Auntie, who have been farmers for their whole lives, have thought about being outstanding and superior. However, they do not want to see Qi Tongwei suffer. "Xiaowei, your safety is our greatest hope. How long has your leg been injured? How can you go for military training? Didn't this damage my body?" Many people have asked Qi Tongwei this question, so he already has a suitable set of answers to it. "Uncle Zhao and Auntie, are your concerns mainly about the injury on my leg? If it's because of a leg injury, you don't have to worry anymore. I have been specially visited by a famous doctor due to receiving hero commendations. There is no discomfort now, and the wound has also healed. There is no problem with enlistment training." Regarding Qi Tongwei's explanation, Uncle Zhao and Aunt Zhao did not provide a positive answer. They haven't seen anyone who has been injured and can recover in such a short time. It's not just an ordinary fall or scratch. Uncle Zhao and Aunt Zhao felt that this must be a lie told by Qi Tongwei to reassure them. But the second old man of the Zhao family didn't want him to go directly, so he could only continue to advise. Uncle Ma and the villagers all say that it feels more imposing to speak about the profession of police. Uncle Ma also said that joining the army is just an ordinary conscripted soldier, and it's hard to say whether you can stay in the army in the future. Xiao Wei, why don't we continue to work as police officers? Qi Tongwei understood that if his attitude was not firm enough, Uncle Zhao and Aunt Zhao would definitely not let him join this army. So Qi Tongwei's tone became serious and he firmly said to Uncle Zhao and Aunt Zhao, "Uncle Zhao and Auntie, I have told you before that as long as I receive the hero's commendation and am transferred to Jingzhou, I will be satisfied. But my application for transfer was not approved, and you know how dangerous it is to become a police officer. I also want to provide elderly care for your two elderly people, so that everyone in the village can live a good life. How can I be a police officer for a lifetime? Moreover, the resignation report from the police station has already been approved, and the pre-enlistment medical examination notice is coming soon. It's already too late to say anything now. And I have also decided to go to the army and give it a try. Liang Lu's father is influential in politics and can hinder my future. But in the military, his orders are nothing. I won't be defeated by setbacks. I believe I can succeed." Qi Tongwei's words can be considered as touching the hearts of the old couple. They only listened to the villagers talk about how difficult the troops were and how tired they were. Surprisingly, I forgot about the level of danger involved in apprehending police officers, which can be said to be the highest among all police officers. If I accidentally lose my life. And the old couple also understood that Qi Tongwei was holding back a bit of energy in his heart. What Liang Lu did must have caused him great setbacks. Since that's the case, why not let him give it a try? After a quiet discussion, the old couple agreed to Qi Tongwei's decision to enlist. "We don't understand either, so we won't interfere with your decision. We just hope that you don't make any wrong judgments based on previous events. After enlisting, you must establish good relationships with your comrades and leaders. If you can contact us, you must give me and your mother more peace reports. If you feel that the outside is not good, you can come home and farm with Uncle and Aunt Zhao. Don't hide any difficulties in your heart." Zhao Bo's simple yet heartwarming words immediately made Qi Tongwei's eyes turn red.